Like, what's your favorite part of the whole thing, of Judaism, just in general? Do you have one? Something that speaks to you?
Ooh, okay, that's a really tough one.
An unfair question.
Um, I think the biggest thing, at least for me, about it is like for me, it's like overcoming. I've always like been into like since I was like little like superhero stuff and like like fights the bad guy and all those cool things. And for me, I think it's very much it's a superhero religion. Like you have like the ability to like I guess like be a superhero. You know what I mean? There's challenges and things that happen in life. Like for me, the biggest thing is that like you have struggles, and it's very much about like overcoming them and like being your own like hero basically. And I
Okay.
think like aspire for greatness in that way. I think kind of like the ability to like like chase like the superhero profession, like go after greatness in that way, and like the self improvement, like have to be meaningful and matter the whole thing. I think that's really the biggest part.
It's
At least
as
now.
Oliver Ferber is a star cross-country athlete who made headlines in 2021 when he sat out a state championship because it was taking place on Shabbos. Oliver's amazing story was recently featured in an ESPN video, and he joins us now on the Yaakov M Show. Oliver, great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I can't wait to get to know a little bit more about you, about your amazing story, about the big Kiddush Hashem. We're going to discuss that race and how that ultimately led, I think, to a change in the entire schedule of that state championship because of you from Shabbos to Sunday, which is amazing. But first, I think I want to hear more about your journey, how you became more observant as you, I guess, went through high school. What grade are you in now, by the way?
So I'm a senior, but my school is actually cool. We only have half a year for senior year, so I actually graduated in January. So I'm technically done with
Oh,
high school. Like I
congratulations.
would be a senior. Thank you. Yeah, I would be a senior.
Maybe a
I was
senior.
like at a normal.
Right. And are you
Yeah.
actually, are you in college at this point, or are you just taking?
No, I'm not in college. I've graduated early from high school, like a few months early, basically.
Right. Okay. So you're, I know you were in Israel for a few weeks, but in other words, right now you're in between. You're
Yeah,
in your
exactly
time.
in between. Yeah, I was actually in Israel for a few months. My school has like a school trip, and so I was in there from late February until mid-May. So I was in there
Wow.
for a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay. And we'll hear about your summer plans a little bit later. But first, I don't know where to begin here, but just tell us about how you became more observant, I guess, over the past years. Where did it start? I know you've been in the day school. You can remind me the name of your day school for all these years, but just tell us, from the beginning.
Yeah, so I'm at the Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School, and it's my journey. It's hard to explain because it wasn't anything sudden. It was kind of like a gradual, I feel like, thought process over time. Yeah, so like I went to a Jewish day school. It's like pluralistic. It's like no orthodox or like religious in a certain way or anything. But like encompasses like conservative, reform, some orthodox. Like it tries to encompass a lot of things. And I guess like just over time, I just like started like thinking like I was very much into Judaism like at my school and like and things like that. I started thinking about like what I was doing and like whether kind of like matched up. And like in school times, like we're like, oh, here it says like, oh, you should like be like, and it talks about Shabbat here, and it talks about like other things. And I felt like, and I was like, asked myself like, why wasn't I doing this? I guess like gradual thought process like, led me to think that like maybe we should start like doing some more things. And I'd say like around middle school, like seventh, eighth grade, I started doing like a bit more things. I started weighing a bit more between like eating the milk, and like things like that. Eventually, I stopped eating meat out, and um, and
So,
yeah, so it was like very, very much gradual.
so seventh and eighth grade, in other words, you're getting turned on, you're learning about it. And just so we understand kind of the context, tell me about your family, what level of observance they were. And you said you started not eating meat out. I guess you mean
Yeah.
not kosher meat. So like kind of what were they doing already, what you were kind of used to growing up? And then what areas did you decide to take on further?
Right. So we're like a pretty typical, I guess, like conservative family. My mom's like from South Africa, so like they're most like conservative, but I think it was just like traditional. And I guess like our family like kind of kept it that with like, like her like status quo a bit. Um so like what do? We would have so like
Like
we never
Shabbos
ate pork,
meal?
shrimp.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a Friday night meal. We'd have Kiddush and Friday, like have Friday night a Shabbos meal on Friday nights like every time. We wouldn't have like one on like Saturday like noon or anything like that. Um, but we'll like have one on Friday nights. We won't eat shrimp or anything, but we don't eat like meat out or whatever. We won't have like a cheeseburger or something like that. But like we would have like maybe like steak and then like some like a dairy dessert and like the same meal. So like that's kind of like the observance I grew up with in my family. And like I first started like as a way a bit more between like meat and milk. Like often, for instance, often like I might go out like it's like Shake Shack or something. They'd have like a burger and a milkshake. Like at first I like started like okay, like my mom always tells us like don't drink your milkshake with your burger. Like have one and the other. And so like initially it's like okay, maybe I'll like eat a burger, like drink water, and then like 5 minutes later have the milkshake. And I eventually started like lengthening that time. So that was like I guess like one thing I started doing. Yeah, and it started like influencing like Friday night dinner bits because like we often have like dairy desserts like a meat dinner, and so like when I was getting up to like 30 minutes, like an hour, it started being like a little bit longer, and then once you got to 3 hours, so, start having like part of dessert, like not no dessert. So that was like one way, and then yeah.
What I find really cool about this story, clearly your mom planted some seeds. There was like an identity, and you're identifying, you're keeping certain rules. So even though I guess you grew and took it to a whole new level, obviously, but like clearly those roots must have had a big impact, because it's not like you just had no connection. That was your connection.
No, yeah, definitely connection. Like I went to a Jewish school, and so I learned like Jewish things, and I definitely had like a connection. I guess I chose to grow it. And like I guess I really started growing it in middle school. And
what about a shul? Did your family like attend like a shul, a synagogue?
Yeah, we started a conservative synagogue like near our area. Like I started going there like more often. Like before, like we used to be like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, like just the high holidays, and like Sukkot, like family. But then especially after my great grandma passed away when I was in 5th grade, going into 6th grade, like that summer. Like we started going, like my mom started going often. I went with her and started going like once a month, once every other week, like most Shabbats, like on Saturday mornings. Yeah.
And as you got, did you have like a rabbi or somebody, as you were getting more observant? Like
no, not at that point now.
So you're doing this on your own. It's amazing.
Yeah. I was on my own for most of it, and then I guess, and so like the biggest change I made in that time was I stopped eating like meat that wasn't like didn't have a hechsher on it, or like poultry that didn't have a hexture on it.
At what age?
And then
what age did that happen?
When did that happen? That happened like towards the end of 8th grade, like around there.
But that's really hard. And then what did you do? Like in the house, your family, I guess, was not keeping kosher then to your standards.
No, so like my mom would buy like kosher meats or like or things like that. Like she was nice. She was okay with that. Also like when I was starting to like do like more kosher things, she kind of like she's kind of like a plant-based mom, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, like like when you don't have like a steak out, it's like more healthy, you know what I mean? Like that type of.
That's amazing, right?
Like
the health aspect that's good. That's
good.
Like, and then when
exactly, yeah.
So Shabbos, which is obviously just a huge hurdle and very, very challenging and difficult under any circumstances. When did that happen?
So so I was like, so after I stopped meat and like poultry out, so like I was thinking like, oh, I should probably like try keeping Shabbos in some ways, and like throughout the middle school I was like trying to do like no phone, but it was like hard sometimes I need it for like something or to like text my parents, something like that. So like I kind of like died out a bit. And I think like ways to do it, but like it was kind of hard to do. And it's also hard to like partially do it in some ways because you're like, oh, might as well. It's like not all, you know what I mean? Yeah. But when COVID happened and like the quarantine like hit our area and like we had like stay away from like everything was canceled. Like I used to have like really busy like Saturdays like before then, like fencing and have like band practice and like so I was like pretty busy on Saturdays. But when like COVID happened and like my schedule was kind of cleared, I was like starting to consider like, oh yeah, I'll be cool. Like I thought it'd be like 2 weeks at first. So I thought it'd be like cool to like try keeping spots. I already like, kept like Yom Kippur before, like when I show me on Yom Kippur. and my sister's bat mitzvah. But I was like, oh yeah, I'll do another one, like, or two, or however long this like quarantine lasts. And so I did, but like the COVID never ended, and so like, and I kept on going, and it was really tough because like it's like one thing, it's kind of like it's like if you like for me like Shabbat was very hard to keep it because there are like a lot of rules, things like that, and like if it's like one day, I'm like, oh, let's step it up for one day. But once like one day every week, and like before you know it, COVID's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, so months at a time, then it started becoming very hard for me to keep. But yeah, I mostly kept at it, and also started like davening. There's like the whole thing like to davening via Zoom, and like I got into that, and like I started davening 3 times a day.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. It's astonishing the level of Kiddush Hashem, and you're from the articles that I read about you. Again, I've never spoken to you. We've been back and forth on messaging, but like it sounded like your parents were very supportive. I'm sure it was not easy, and I'm curious, about a bunch of things. Number one, as far as this is, I guess, 3 years ago, COVID. We're talking pretty much exactly 3.
Yeah.
I guess you were in 10th grade, in 9th grade at that point, and but like you're home, everybody's home. Technology, I mean, television. We're just surrounded by all sorts of Yetzer Hara's sort of keep Shabbos. So it must have been extremely difficult at times.
I know, it was very difficult. I mean, for me, the phone's a huge thing, but like the ones I was kind of like bored on Friday night, I wanted to watch like Netflix or something, or like a movie with like my fam or whatever. That was very hard. And then the hardest thing I think was really going to the beach, because we don't go to the beach often, and like sometimes we'll drive on Friday nights, like if you leave at like 4 p.m. or whatever, you're gonna like hit by traffic. And so and like we're not the type to leave like super early, you know what I mean? So like from a traffic standpoint, it made the most sense. Like leave at 7 p.m. and get there like 9:30, something like that. And we were going to the beach a lot during COVID. And for me, that was very hard because like we would drive, and then like we would sometimes get there beforehand, but often we'll get there like after Shabbat started.
Right.
And then I also was like aware that like you can't like carry outside of an Eruv, and like the beach is not in the Eruv, so that was like really really hard, like keeping all of that when you're like at the beach and things like that.
Unbelievable. But you had you felt it, you wanted it. I mean, you had that
yeah, I felt it. It was very very hard. I got really stressful times. I almost stopped keeping it. It's like, oh, whatever. I was like, cool, but like can't do it. Like I gave up. I think I've given up many times. But yeah, I ended up sticking with it.
So, and at that point, 2 questions. Number one, at that point, do you have a rabbi? Because, there are just so many questions, even as far as halacha and what to keep, that I would imagine you need some kind of guidance. And at that point, was it on your radar as far as conservative, orthodox, as far as that goes?
Yeah. So, when I was in at the beginning of 9th grade, I got some friends. They went to like an NCSY lunch and learn. And so I got like a little bit into NCSY at that, and then did like this thing called like the Ben Carn Scholars Program, which is kind of like it's like a learning program like once a week, and I had like a group of friends to do it with, and it was fun. And I was like in touch with the rabbi there, and during COVID, I started like asking questions, like what I was like doing, and it was like then that I got rabbis like ask questions to you, things like that.
That was an NCSY rabbi?
And like since a lot of my friends were with them, I was starting to think I was like considering it like orthodox, and like no, it's really unbelievable. It's really inspiring. There are 2 stories that I think I read. So tell me if these are correct. Number one, there's one time where your family was supposed to catch a plane, and it was a Friday, it was an Erev Shabbos, and like it got delayed, and it got really close, and you kind of made them, you said, listen, we're not getting on this plane, and they canceled that whole, or at least rescheduled that entire trip. And then there's another story how you like walked to shul, like a really long walk, maybe for your sister's bas mitzvah. Am I getting these at all right? Tell me. Yeah. So the first one wasn't my family, just me and my dad. It was this year. We were going to I was going to like go to Brown for Shabbat because I was applying there to college. I was going to like stay a Shabbat there, and then the plane kept getting delayed, and so it got to the point where we're going to land like after Shabbos, and so like, oh wow, whatever, and so we headed back home. But like, that was this year. Yeah, it was just me and my dad. But yeah, and I went to Brown the next like Shabbat, so it wasn't like it wasn't a huge deal. And then as far as walking to shul goes, I walk to shul a lot. Like I walk, I'm in the middle, jog a bit, and then I also have a scooter. And so I'll scooter to shul, which is kind of fun sometimes too. I've covered like pretty far distances on Shabbat, just going to shul or going to like friends' houses
How
or
far
whatever.
is the shul?
So the closest one to me is Chabad, which is 3.5 miles away. So there and back,
3.5 miles away.
Yeah.
Wow. Chabad, you said?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. And actually I enjoy I enjoy like the scooter ride there, especially when it's like fall and or it's getting to winter, it's getting like, it's like 40s or whatever. And like it's kind of like nice. It's refreshing for me in some ways. So, like I enjoy. And then
it get really brutally hot.
Yeah, when it's hot, it's a lot harder. But like most of the time when I go there, it's cooler, which is nice. And then
yeah.
And then I also have like friends in like Potomac, like religious friends in like a city nearby, and that's like 4.5 miles away, 5 miles away around there.
Wow, amazing.
And
amazing.
I used to bike in Shabbat, and I'll like go there and I bike there. But then I stopped, and usually when I go there, I just like go one way and I'll go jump down like after Shabbat.
Wow. So now let's get to the race here. It's 2021, so I guess you're in 10th grade at that point, and I guess you're like the star athlete or one of the big ones in your school, right? And
yeah, so yeah, like our top 5 runners, really the top 7, like the top 5 are the most important for races, because you add their places, whoever gets the lowest score wins basically. Now it's like number 4 or something like that. So like yeah.
Okay. So at which point do you realize, oh wait a second, this thing's on Shabbos and I keep Shabbos now, and I can't do this?
So I was like, I was always aware there was like a state championship race. In 9th grade, I was on Shabbos and I raced in it. Wasn't keeping it then, so wasn't like right. A huge thing on my radar. And then in like 10th grade, like I was definitely aware of it, but it didn't happen because of COVID. And then by 11th grade, like I was also fencing. I took fencing like seriously back in 10th grade, like during COVID a lot, because I was always open. Everything else was closed, and I was fencing a lot. And I already had like a lot of troubles and stuff with like going to practice or even going to tournaments on like Saturdays and stuff. And eventually I went to like a tournament or 2 beforehand. But eventually I stopped going to like fencing tournaments on Shabbos. And so and it was like tough, but like I decided I went to do beforehand and it wasn't worth it. And so I was like, I always do the state championship would be a thing. And I decided that I got on the fencing tournaments. I'm not going to go to this race either. And for me, I took fencing more passion than cross country at that point. So it was kind of like a given that I wasn't going to race in the state championship. And I was always vaguely aware.
Am I right? That's 2021. But
yeah,
it's September. So you're talking 11th grade already. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in 11th grade. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Keep going.
And so I guess it was always radar, but for me it was just the race, I guess. And then I remember we're starting to talk about it in the season. And it's still pretty early in the season. And so I told my coach about September that I was going to tell them, but I told some friends first. Then, and anyways, end up someone else told him before I told him. And about September, and then he called me up and I explained I wasn't going to race. And that was I guess when it first happened. But when I made a decision, I didn't really understand. For me, it was kind of just another race. But I didn't really get the gravity of it. Yeah, it was it's like a state championship. It's not another race. It was the race of the season, and our whole team, the whole season, even more than the season, for a lot of runners, their whole high school careers or years have been building up to that state championship race. It was kind of the climax of everything for us, and it was our first. It was we had a really strong team that year. And we kind of won the state championship before in 4 years, I think, from then. And before that, we never won one either. So it's kind of we had a strong team. It was kind of we're gonna we got second many times, but second's not first, and we're gonna take a shot at winning.
Right.
And it was a very big moment for us. And that was pretty crucial to us pulling off getting first place. When those was not given we were gonna win. And that was I was part of the top 5. We need all 5 of us, even the 6th and 7th runners we needed to. And so I didn't really realize it then, but it was really a big deal for our whole team. And so when I first made that decision, I may have been oh, it's for me, it's a race. It's I thought it was just another race. It wasn't just another race. It was the race of more than the season and years of the season.
Koufax moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're under pressure. I mean, I'm sure the faculty, I mean, at least the stories that I read, your friends, again, I'm sure it was done in a respectful, friendly way, but you felt the heat.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I felt heat initially. That was like, oh, whatever, it's like normal math, I'm not gonna race. But when I started to really, like, when my friends really started like talking more and more, started talking with my coach more and more and more, like, it really started building up, and I really started seeing, and I was like, oh, this is not just another race, and like, it's a really big thing, and the pressure was really, really building, and like, I was like, like, not just like, and it started becoming like not just pressure from my teammates or my coach, like also pressure from like, like friends who weren't even on the team, or like friends who weren't even competing in like that race, and like people like that, and it started getting like a lot of pressure. I really started cracking, and then I became, yeah.
Was there any point where you thought, oh, maybe I'm going to actually do this? Maybe I'll race?
Yeah. For like initially in September, I was like, oh, I'm not going to race, like whatever. But like once I really started feeling the pressure, like September to October, I really started seeing like, I think I might race. And for like I'm like a procrastinator. I'll make like decisions to the last moment. And so for like months, I was really flip flopping back and forth, like whether I was going to race or not, or like walking like in between, like trying to keep Shabbos, trying to do both, like racing and not race. But like the pressure's really building, and like I still had some time to decide, because I had like months leading up to like the state championship to decide, but I was like, the pressure was very much building. And I was very much like flip-flopping back and forth if I was going to race or not. Probably leaning a little bit to racing, but it was still like a very close call, and I was really like flip-flopping back and forth a lot.
Wow.
And then I guess like for me, like the climax was probably like a week or two before our race, where we did our last time trial. Basically, we had our league championship, which is smaller than the state championship, like a few weeks before that, and we won it, and we set like the all-time like lowest score for our league. And then after that, like most of the team like stopped. They were done, and it was just like the top 7 of us, or maybe a bit more. Sorry about that. Who kept on training. And like we had a time trial, basically like a last just our team, just like a last race, like a few weeks, like a week or a half or 2 weeks, something like that before the state championship. And we had a really good time. And then like it was like pressure was really, really building. And then I started talking to people, and like my coach, there's also my coach showed like the times, like how our times compared to like St. Anselm's, which is our main competitor, or Andrews, like how they compare to our times. Like we had like a team Zoom call. We had like a team call to discuss strategy and everything. And like what it looked like from everything I heard, it really looked like that without me, we didn't have a chance of winning.
Wow.
And when that really dawned, like we had a chance, but it was very small. When that dawned on me, that like without me, we're very, very, very possibly going to lose. Like that's really that was probably the climax for me. That was like where I really cracked, and like the pressure really built up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's called an isayon, as you probably know. I mean, it's a unthinkable challenge that you underwent. And what I'm curious about is, I don't know if it was a rabbi in the ESPN story that I read. There was a video, but the article that accompanied it, it quoted the Taz, like it quoted like one of the early poskim rabbinic authorities, who you're basically being told, hey, listen, there's technically no Shabbos desecration by running. It's not like you have to get in a car, or it's not like you have to.
Yeah, that's like my teammates. Yeah.
So people are telling you that, and I'm not getting into the halach. I don't want to get into that aspect of it, because I'm sure there's going to be varying opinions. But like, you basically have like people basically telling you, oh, listen, this is okay. It's within the context of religion, not the end of the world. And you're saying, what are you talking about? Like, you can't even exercise. You're not allowed to heat yourself up. You're not allowed to sweat, type of thing. And it must be like incredibly challenging to have people sort of questioning you on that level.
Yeah, it was very challenging, especially because like I would like jog. I would like jog if I was in the mood. Like I would jog lightly, like on Shabbat, on Shabbos. Like wasn't like if it's like sometimes I enjoy running a bit and doing like a like jog for fun, and like that's permissible as far as I'm concerned. And so like I would do that, but then and then so that was hard for me to like people be like, oh, like you run, like why won't you race? And then I'd be like, it's different, but like that was like tough. then also people like a lot of people like also kept Shabbos, and they would like stay nearby and they'll walk to the race, and then they'll race there. And like the rest of them like, oh, why don't you just walk to the race like we were doing, like things like that. And so there are a lot of questions like that that really built up.
Those are the hardest. Yeah. I've been there, done that. When they start questioning your consistency and, kind of like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a killer. I know from experience, it is the toughest, and it so much admiration for the Kiddush Hashem that you did. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, especially since like I went to like fencing tournaments and like fencing before, and like I like bike before. Like I stopped doing that, but like I did that before on Shabbos. Like that also. Like, oh, you did that. Why don't you race? And I was like, I've stopped.
Gotcha stuff. Oh, that's I feel for you. That is just, and I have so much respect, indescribable what you went through. So you sat it out. Did they win, by the way, without you?
Yeah. So we end up winning by it was super close, by 3 points, which is like nothing. Wow. At first, like my coach was counting. At first, she was like, "Oh, I think you lose." I mean, it's like a tie. It's like, "Oh, I think we won." And that was very, very close. We didn't know for sure until the person like announced it. And like in second place, like and I said other school, like, oh, but it was very close. But we ended up winning, and that was like a great scenario for me. But like also like I had the decision in mind that it was very possible that we were going to lose, not just lose, but we were going to lose by like a few points, and that with me running, we could have won it. Like that was like the pressure going on to me in the race. And I made a decision not to run. I made like in final like a few days beforehand. When I made that decision, like it was very like I made a decision like the stats I saw. I made a decision thinking that we were going to lose. Like I'm not going to run, and because of me not running, we're going to lose. And that was like a very, very hard decision to make. We ended up winning. I was like, yes, we won. I was very thankful and grateful for that.
And your parents were supportive. Your parents were behind you. Your decision not to race.
No, my mom was not.
Wow.
Not through like any of it, which was supportive me not racing. And then my dad was pretty supportive of me doing whatever I chose. But, yeah.
Unbelievable. And then they changed it. The following year, they announced it's going to be Sunday because of you.
Yeah, like my coach called me up like during the spring. He told me it's trying to change, and so I sent an email. He edited it, and like he sent an email, and he followed up with calling. Yeah. And
unbelievable email. I saw that email. I have to post that on the website. Yeah, that was an amazingly written email.
Thank you. Yeah.
So and you guys thought it was a major long shot, but they responded.
Yeah, they responded. Yeah, like I thought it was a long shot for sure. I think he was more optimistic about it, but again, up getting changed. No, that was great. Yeah,
that's an amazing source that you have. And I mean, the Kiddush Hashem one after the next. Now, and now at this point, you're totally Shabbos observant. You keep kosher. Like the kitchen in your house is kosher, if I can ask.
No, not completely, but I have specific like the food I use kosher, and like I have like utensils like hot things I use that are kosher.
So you work it out.
Yeah.
So I mean, do you consider yourself orthodox?
Yes, I do.
Wow, that is all. And you have like a rabbi?
Yeah. What?
You have a rabbi?
Yeah, I do have a rabbi. He also actually helped. Like I actually asked them whether it's permissible to race, and like he helped me a lot through it. Yeah, I have a rabbi who helped me a lot.
Somebody we know, or can you tell me his name?
Yeah, he was the old NCS rabbi then. I'm not gonna mention his name.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
And where are you going next year? Where are you headed?
I'm doing a gap year at Aish Torah, and then I'm going to college. Yeah.
You're going to Aish Torah next year?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that was going to be my final question. The elephant in the room is, as someone trying to get you to yeshiva, I mean, that is such an amazing story. That, I mean, you're going to love it. By the way, so did you check it out at all? You were in Israel these last few months?
Yeah, when I was in Israel, I visited it. The guy that showed me around. Yeah, I checked it out. Yeah.
And you liked it? You like what you saw?
Yeah, I did very much.
What's not to like? You being in the middle.
Yeah, what's not to like? Exactly.
So you're going like for Elul, and you're going in August?
Yeah, I'm going in August. Yeah.
Wow. It's just amazing. This is just like the truly inspirational. I don't know if you even realize, because when you're living it, like, I mean, you got turned on, you're like self-motivated, and you've already fought battles. There's like big rabbis out there that haven't had to fight, the kinds of things you've had to fight and struggle with. And I'm amazed the story's not more well known. I think it actually will be. I know you don't seem like you're looking for like the major spotlight, but like you can help others. I mean, there are people out there who have these like struggles, and it's not easy. And your whole attitude, your whole demeanor, like your emuna, your clarity, like it's very, very, very inspiring. At least to me. I don't want to I'm not trying to like flatter you here, but it's awesome.
Thank you.
So all right.
Yeah, and I guess it's a big difference for me because like when I was becoming more religious, like the thing like it's like, oh, don't be judgmental. Just like I guess like I learned just to like just take care of yourself. You know what I mean? Just like don't worry about yourself and those things. That's like a bit different with like the ESPN like the coverage and the whole thing. People are like, oh, I can inspire other people, and for me it's actually like a different mentality. That's like, oh, I've like been trying like over the summer. Like I was thinking like, oh, maybe I should schedule like a few like things to speak. And I've been trying to do that. But like for me, it's a very different mentality. It's like because like I still have like my own problems. Like you know what I mean. And it's like for me, it's like I was like very much worry about yourself first. But like now it's like, oh wow, I can like do things for other people too. And it's like a different mentality as well. Yeah.
Now, by the way, have you learned Gemara? I mean, maybe you learned in high school. I don't know, but like Talmud, Gemara.
Yeah, I learned in high school. Yeah, we have a like we take Jewish text classes, and I take like you have like an assortment of things you can take. I've taken Talmud like for like, the 4 years of high school.
Okay, so you like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I'm sure. I mean, imagine you'd seem to have very like an analytical mind. I mean, I would think you would. And I was going to ask you, like, what's your favorite part? If I'm just curious of the whole thing of Judaism, just in general. Do you have one? Something that speaks to you?
Okay, that's a really tough one.
An unfair question.
I think the biggest thing, at least for me, about it is like for me, it's like overcoming. Like I've always like been into like since I was like little like superhero stuff, and like like fights the bad guy and all those cool things. And for me, I think it's very much as a superhero religion. Like you have like the ability to like I guess like be a superhero. You know what I mean? There's challenges and things that happen in life. Like for me, the biggest thing is that like you have struggles, and it's very much about like overcoming them and like being your own like hero basically. And I think like aspire for greatness in that way. I think kind of like the ability to like like chase like the superhero profession, like go after greatness in that way, and like the self-improvement, like have to be meaningful and matter the whole thing. I think that's really the biggest part.
It's very true. There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot to that. Yes, absolutely. I hear that. That's a very cool take. It's very unique too, and out of the box. All right, we're gonna leave it. This was every bit as fascinating as I was hoping, as expected. And all right, like I said, I think it's gonna inspire a lot of people. Oliver Ferber, star cross-country athlete, but also a star Baal Tshuva and a star Kiddush Hashem future yeshiva guy in Eish HaTorah, which is very, very exciting. So I want to thank you very much for sharing your story, and I hope we could be in touch.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Oliver Ferber on the Yaakov M Show on the VIN News podcast.